Hey, welcome to Spiritual Psychology. My name's Renee LaValle McKenna. I'm a therapist and healer in San Francisco. And I want to talk about being willing to suck in 2020. I've been doing a lot of really challenging things. I just wrote a book and I'm learning how to use all these new tools to produce the book and to promote this great work of allies and demons in the world. And my theme for myself has been I need to be willing to suck in order to be able to be good at something. It's actually kind of fun to think about it that way. I'm a little irreverent, so it makes it makes the challenge more of a joke and more interesting, and the idea of living an indeliberate path. There's so much talk about intentions and goals and visions, and I'm in there. I'm going to have an intentions, goals, and visions workshop later in January, the last Saturday in January in San Francisco. If you're interested, you can look on my website, reneemckenna.com. I like the approach of co creating the life that we live. There's so much ego and fear and focus on being a human doing rather than a human being. And it may seem cliche, but a lot of cliches are really true. Life really is a journey. It is not a destination. And I've had to remind myself of that every day because I have all these goals and all these deadlines, and everything can feel like it's out there. Like when this gets done and when I have that. And the when is always in the future and it never actually comes. The only real moment is right now. This is life. It's happening real time. This is not a dress rehearsal. And all the focus on productivity, I can get totally caught up in it. My clients get caught up in it. My friends do. And it's empty, actually. You know, we can end with our life being this massive to-do list. And I had a client say this to me a couple weeks ago. I have this huge to-do list in my life, and the final check is dying. And that approach to life of what we get done, that it's about the what rather than the how, can suck the life and the experience and the depth out of our life process and our life journey. And so I want to think about how we do things as opposed to what we do. And the how, if we live from our authentic self, if we make choices from our deepest truth in the how we approach things, then I think the what's will take care of themselves, the what we do, the choices we make, because we're making them from a place of our own truth. And, you know, we each are part, we're all part of this much larger system. And we often feel disconnected from it, and that causes a lot of suffering. But we really are part of a larger system. The earth is hugging us to her right now with gravity. There are forces that are spinning the earth, and there's a system happening here and a amazing intelligence underneath it. And we're part of that. I think that the more that we can trust our own self, the brilliant and broken quirkiness of each individual person, that's exactly how we're supposed to be. That who we are is who we're supposed to be. So frequently we get caught up in shoulds. I should do this, I should be that way, I should lose weight, I should make more money, I should have a better relationship. And we lose sight of who we actually are because shoulds are often externally determined. They're given to us by our culture, our family, our religion, our national, whatever we have, political party, or wherever we get our shoulds from. And they separate us from who we really are. You know, I like the analogy that life is like a garden, and we're all a different plant or flower in that garden. And, you know, I think about myself, and I tend to be a people pleaser, and the idea of If my mother liked roses and I wanted my mother to like me, I wanted my mother to love me, then I'm going to try to be a rose. If I'm actually a tulip, this is my experience, trying to be a rose and I'm a crappy rose because I'm actually a tulip. I can't believe, why am I not doing well as a rose? And if I can let go of the expectations of others and just be who I actually am, I'm an amazing tulip. How to own and trust myself. Not necessarily my ego self, not necessarily my mind, but trust actually the totality of who I am. That I am a child of nature, I am a child of God, that I am a creation that has meaning and purpose, and I have things to offer, and it's okay for me to participate and trust my own path. And I had a really nice exchange with a client the other day. Sometimes it comes out, so I was able to say to her, trust the unfolding process. You only need to know the next right thing to do. It's okay to have a compass setting, but we can only walk our own path one step at a time. I feel strongly that all is unfolding as it should for you, and in time, things will be clear that are unclear now. And she responded, thank you. I feel like things are unfolding too. I just also keep getting caught up with the idea that I should know what I'm doing and have a deliberate path, which actually sounds really boring. To me, the indeliberate path is much more inspired and interesting. Fuck should. Can we let go of the shoulds and drop deeper into our own truth? And we don't even need to have that come again out of our brain. We have these amazing bodies, and if you're familiar with the chakra system, there's this idea that each different part of our body has kind of its own personality, its own emotional resonance, its own wisdom. We can kind of run questions through our body, and each aspect of our body will give us a different kind of wisdom. So if we think about, the top of our head is the seventh chakra, that's the seat of inspiration. And so to bring an idea or a question and just kind of hold it in the top of our head and what's the inspiration? How does it feel up there? We can bring it down, bring an idea or an intention, or even ask, what is my best path for 2020? And bring that in between our eyebrows, that's our rational mind. And what are my thoughts around that? What's my brain? How does my brain hold that idea? We can run it down into our throat. That would be the fifth chakra. That's where our personal truth exists. That's the place where we bring our voice to things. In my throat, what's my truth around this issue, the question, my compass setting, my intentions? Just to hold those as open questions. If I bring it down into my heart, what's my passion? What do I love? What am I open to giving and receiving in that connected, emotional way? Bringing it down into a little deeper into our belly, into the solar plexus. That's the third chakra. That's my personal power. Some will call that our gut. That's a place of gut instincts or the gut brain. And what's my gut reaction? What does my gut want? That's an excellent place to make decisions from. And if we drop it down just below our belly button, the second chakra is the seat of creativity, and where we nurture things and nourish them and they grow within us and then we birth them. Bringing things down into our first chakra, which is at the base of our spine, and that's where we ground ourselves. How grounded does our idea feel? Or what does that aspect of our body, of our own wisdom, want to offer us as information as we seek inspiration and vision? I love that system because there are so many different ways of knowing, and we often just get stuck in our rational mind, which only has the information. It's kind of like a computer. It only has the information that's been fed into it. And if you've gotten only great information in your life, awesome. You can totally just trust your brain. But most of us get all kinds of convoluted information from our families, from our culture, things that don't necessarily always have our best interest at heart or wisdom as their driving purpose. And when we really come into our body, the body doesn't lie, and the body is rooted in wisdom. How can we use that in service of following our own path? And so as we think about looking toward the new year, I think it's important to also look back. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So, he actually said that. He actually said that at his trial, according to Plato, and that he was given a choice to either be exiled out of Greece or to be killed. And he chose to be killed rather than to be exiled because he felt he couldn't examine his life in the way that he wanted. And so the weight of that statement is much more intense than I had realized when I did a little research on it. That when he said the unexamined life is not worth living, he wasn't kidding. He actually chose to not live anymore. I'm not suggesting you do that, but examining our life is really important because it gives us instruction about what worked and what didn't work. And again, that's certainly from a position of productivity, but what works and what doesn't work is also about how things feel for us. What was our experience? Because everything we do because we want to create a feeling. We want to create an experience for ourselves. We work and make money so that we can buy things and have a home and have experiences so that we will feel a certain way. We have relationships so that we'll feel a certain way and have an experience. Our experience actually is the central driver to what happens. Often we get disconnected from our own experience and we are attempting to please or fulfill other people's expectations of us. And that's the should. And sometimes they aren't even real. Sometimes there's an extra layer, which is our assumption of what someone else's ideas are for us. That can get really, the layers of should, don't should on yourself. Really, fulfillment comes from being able to find the power and the courage and the resources to be able to live our own authentic life. Like the garden metaphor, there is an earth underneath us that is constantly and perpetually and eternally available to support us and to nourish us. Here in California, we have a dry season and a wet season. We really only have 2 seasons. Things are dry, and the summer, as opposed to being green, is very, very brown. And we just went into the rainy season, and it's always amazing to me. I walk my dogs in this place with a lot of sand, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's called Fort Funston. It's the edge of the Western world here in San Francisco. Gorgeous cliffs, but it's all sand and right along the ocean. And after just 2 days of rain, all this grass sprung up out of this sand desert there. And it's just amazing. Like those seeds had just been waiting there for, the whole year, waiting for some rain. And as soon as the rain came, whatever the magic is that makes things grow, we're all a part of that. We have access to that life force that makes things grow. And we are always growing. That, I believe, is our work here as humans, is to grow and to help each other to grow. And looking back at what worked and what didn't work, and looking forward at what we would like to have happen. I think that's a really helpful process. It doesn't have to be super complicated. I'm going to do a little bit of that in the next few days. And I want to offer a really simple system to do that, which is basically 2 questions. What made me feel good? And what made me feel dissonant? Or what worked for me and what didn't work for me? Very simple. Maybe to just think about that, a little bit of retrospect, a little bit of house cleaning internally from 2019 about what worked and what didn't work, what made you feel good, what made you feel dissonant or not good, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. And to think about, I like to think about us as a conglomeration or a bit of a committee of all these different aspects of ourselves: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social. If I care for myself in those ways, then my life is pretty balanced. And generally, I feel good. And when I'm off, to think about which area of my life do I need nourishment? Where am I depleted? Where am I overextended? Where am I out of balance? We have systems that want to be in balance. And when we're in balance, then we're kind of in our optimal flow. In Taoism, there's a principle I love to talk about called Wu Wei. And Wu Wei is about this idea that there kind of is an optimal choice or an optimal path at any given time. And that when we're in it, we're aligning ourselves. This is going to get a little more Western spirituality, but we're aligning ourselves with the life force. We're aligning ourselves with God, and we're co-creating the path that's in front of us. And I love that idea of co-creation rather than predetermining everything I want to have and then having the pressure of making all of that happen, which is when I get into the should. Maybe setting more of a compass, because a compass setting will put me in a direction, but there's a lot of room to flow back and forth along the indeliberate path as I move toward wherever that compass setting is going. And holding a compass setting, I think, is much more interesting and open than having specific goals. I am a goal-oriented person. I just finished writing a book. It is really exciting and gratifying to set a goal and work patiently and diligently to be able to do it. But in the larger sense of our life, to set a compass, to set intentions which are less specific, which are more about, I would like to be a loving person. I would like to be of service in the world. I would like to feel joy and happiness in my life. Those are compass settings. And I would like to be healthy. To come to a simple idea that's a compass setting for us and run it through our body, run it through the 5 areas of our life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social. How can I serve that intention? What's the intention that I want to set for 2020? What worked and what didn't work in 2019 can have a lot to inform how I want to move forward. To go back to the idea that, am I willing to take risks? Am I willing to go outside my comfort zone and go into the unknown? Creation is about something new, and it does require us to move outside of our comfort zone. Be willing to suck in order to be willing to get good at something, or to be willing to have an unusual experience or something unknown that may actually bring me to someplace new. I'm wishing you an indeliberate path. Again, I'm going to say, Trust the unfolding process of your life. You only need to know the next right thing to do. It's okay to have a compass setting, but we can only walk our own path one step at a time. And I feel strongly that it's all unfolding as it should for you right now. And in time, things will become clear that are unclear in this moment. So blessings on your path. Until we meet again, may you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed and a source of healing to all others. This is Renee LaValle McKenna. You can find me on the web at reneemckenna.com. If you're interested in doing a session or finding out about my workshops, you can shoot me an email, info@reneemckenna.com, and look for my book, Allies and Demons, Working with Spirit for Power and Healing, available on Amazon. Happy 2020.